Hi, and welcome back to this free-for-all Friday edition of Focal Point AFR Talk. Going to go to the phones here in just a second. Got a help wanted ad at the National Security Agency. This is the agency now that's in charge of monitoring every single phone call you make, every single email you send. Now we find out that they're monitoring credit card transactions as well, and they've shared this information with the United Kingdom. So your information is no longer private. Your credit card transactions, your phone records, your email records, your YouTube accounts, your Facebook pages, all of that is being shared with intelligence services in the United Kingdom. So this thing is a brood of vipers. And here's a help wanted ad on the NSA website, if you can believe this. Listen to this. This is from the Twitter feed. This is yesterday when all this broke. They sent this out before all of this hit the fan. Do you have what it takes to be a digital network exploitation analyst? If so, we want to hear from you. Do you have what it takes to be a digital network exploitation analyst? So we haven't dug quite deeply enough into the private personal information of the American people. We need your help. We need somebody who is good at exploitation. If that's you, if you know how to root around in digital networks and extract personal information on people, you are just the person we're looking for. Give us a call. Now, the mainstream media getting up in arms over all of this. They are finally losing their love affair with Barack Obama. Rush Limbaugh said the media will never turn on Obama, and I wasn't sure he was right, and I think they are beginning to turn. I think maybe he's wrong about that because this is so bad. This is just absolutely so bad. And surveillance, privacy, I mean, that's the holy grail for liberals. Their holy grail is privacy. You have no right to poke your nose into what I do in my private life, my private sexual behavior, my stuff. You have no right to get into that. So this is the holy grail for them, is privacy. Now, President Obama is just absolutely trampling on that in a way that we've never seen in American history. New York Times said about President Obama, he has lost all credibility. That's a direct quote. This administration has now lost all credibility. That's what they put up at 3:34 p.m. Then apparently somebody in the food chain there got upset about that, thought it was too hard on Barack the Lawless, and so it was amended, and they added the phrase on this issue. So now that editorial reads, talking about this spy business, this administration has lost all credibility on this issue. All that means is not only has President Obama lost all credibility, now the New York Times, they've lost all credibility. So anyway, that's what's going on. Here's Glenn Greenwald from the UK. He's a columnist with The Guardian. He's the one that broke this story about the collection of Verizon phone data. He said on Piers Morgan last night, there is a massive apparatus within the United States government that with complete secrecy has been building this enormous structure that has only one goal, and that is to destroy privacy and anonymity, not just in the United States, but around the world. This stuff we know has gone to the UK now. That is not hyperbole. That is their objective. Bob Beckel, he's this raging leftist on the Fox program, The Five. He said, look, this is getting awfully close to fascism. That's a guy that was tight with Bill Clinton, so he's a card-carrying leftist. Here's a piece from Zero Hedge website just talking about examples of the liberal press going after Obama on this deal. Politico's going after him. The National Journal goes after him. The Huffington Post, if you can believe it. Huffington Post had a picture that morphs Barack Obama and George Bush into one portrait. I don't know. Can you get a close-up on that? Rob, can you scoot in on that? Can we get a chance to look at that? I'm having Rob do a close-up here. This is Huffington Post using Photoshop, and what they have done is they have morphed the image of Barack Obama and the image of George Bush, and the heading of the portrait is, George W. Obama. All right, good, Rob. Thank you for that. Washington Post said this is something that sounds like East Germany. The Daily Beast used to be Newsweek. That's something East Germany would do. The Atlantic, this is something that East Germany could only dream of. The New York Times already read this administration has lost all credibility on this issue. The New York Times says this move repudiates constitutional principles governing search, seizure, and privacy. Howard Feynman, he's a liberal pundit. The time has come for a deep, serious national debate on the balance between freedom and security. And Rob, let's just play clip 6 before we go to the phones. This is Piers Morgan on with Bernie Sanders, who's an out-and-out socialist. He goes as an independent. He caucuses with Democrats, but he's a socialist. He's not a Democrat. He calls himself a socialist. Vermont keeps sending him back to the Senate. And they're talking together about this Obama spying business, Obamagate. And Piers Morgan and Bernie Sanders, hardcore leftists, here's what they had to say.
The New York Times editorial board said tonight the administration has now lost all credibility. Has what Barack Obama has been doing and his administration, not just with all these revelations in the last 24 hours, but also the IRS and going after AP and Fox News and so on, when you put it all together, is what he's doing worse than anything George W. Bush did?
Well, I think Bush started the process, and what I had hoped, and I think millions of Americans had hoped, that Barack Obama, who knew something about constitutional law, would not only change Bush's policies in a number of ways, but certainly with regard to civil liberties. And I think it's fair to say that many of us are deeply disappointed that he did not end many of those programs and provide a lot more transparency than he has.
You could argue he's right to say he'd be different. He's worse.
So Piers Morgan, he's worse. Socialist Bernie Sanders does not disagree. So you got a hardcore socialist saying that Barack Obama is worse than George Bush. I mean, that's something. And you got all these, Washington Post and these other mainstream left-wing media publications. This is worse than East Germany under the communists. And don't forget, Pravda, the Russian news agency, they said that Barack Obama is a communist. They didn't say he was a socialist or a Marxist. They said he is a communist. His agenda is the same as the Communist Manifesto. Now, if anybody could recognize a communist when they see one, that would have to be Pravda. Well, let's go to the phones. Let's begin with Pete in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Pete, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate your program. I listen to you all I can. I have a lot to say, but I'll try to make it quick. I want to talk about Obamagate. I think what Rush Limbaugh was talking about, because I listen to him occasionally, there was a report in the news from some guy from the UK said, they may never find a smoking gun or any physical evidence, directly connecting Obama to any of these scandals because, he doesn't have to. One thing I've not heard mentioned is implied tasks. And you made a good comment yesterday. I think either you or somebody else mentioned the dog whistle.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have to put it in writing because, like Rush said, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, Susan Rice, what's our justice guy's name?
Eric Holder?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the Attorney General.
Yeah, they are Obama. I mean, they're like-minded. They know what he wants. They know what he wants. He doesn't even have to say it.
Yeah, they've got exactly the same set of values, the same worldview, the same political agenda.
So he already gave his orders when he said when he's out, and he's always out campaigning. That's why he's not tied to any of this stuff. He's like, well, I'm not around. I was nowhere near that. But
yeah. And so and that's the thing I think that's happening now, Pete, is the media is starting to finger him. That's what's different. And because people are realizing, look, there's one guy that's at the center of all of this. At some point, you have to stop saying this is other people's fault. I had nothing to do with it. I'm as pure as the driven snow. I don't know what these people are up to because that makes you look like a fool, makes you look inept and buffoonish and completely incompetent because you have no idea what your people are doing in these very, very important positions. And people are saying, I'm not buying that anymore. And even the media is getting to the point where they're not buying it anymore. They know that this kind of stuff can only come from the top. They know that this, you connect the dots and it does get back to Obama. So I think the noose is starting to tighten a little bit around Barack Obama. Some of that sort of firewall is beginning to crumble.
And hey, Brian, he already gave his command order when he said, we got to punish our enemies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was a verbal, and all those people took that as, okay, this is our marching orders. Here's all the implied tasks.
Absolutely. Yeah. What they got to be saying, what about punish your enemies do we not understand?
Correct. As you know, I spent 20 years in the Army. I'm retired. So when the commander gives out an order like, "Hey guys, this month's training, we got to go to the firing range to qualify with our M16s for night fire. We have to be there at 0500, dark 100." Well, the implied task is all the NCOs put together these orders saying, "Hey guys, we got to be at the arms room at 0200 to draw our weapons in order to get on the vehicles, go out to the range, and make it there in time to qualify." So you got all these implied tasks. That's what these people are doing. They're executing the implied task. None of it's in writing.
Yeah, and that's what gives Obama this kind of plausible deniability. Well, I didn't order that. I didn't tell him to do that. And I think Obama's trying to get what he's hoping the media will do is basically have some sympathy for him. Look at this majestic leader, this majestic ruler, Barack the benevolent, and look at these buffoons that are dragging him down. Look at that incompetent Eric Holder. Look at that incompetent State Department, dragging him down, tarnishing the image of our dear leader, and again trying to protect him. He had nothing to do with it. That's what Obama is hoping they will say. Look, our dear leader had nothing to do with this. He's being let down by these incompetent people that are around him. Oh, we wish he had capable help. And I think President Obama is, what he's going to imply as well. I appointed these people and I thought I could trust them, and I thought I had the right people in there, but unfortunately it turns out like I probably overestimated their ability and overestimated whatever. And so he'll try to, again, pin it on them. I think he's willing to let Eric Holder throw him off the train, under the train, just to save his own hide. I think Barack Obama is so focused on himself, so narcissistic, that he will do whatever it takes to preserve and protect his image and his political viability. We'll be back after the news. Stay with us. Focal Point, AFR Talk, back in 5.